Um, Good evening, everyone. Good evening, people. Good evening, people. How are you doing? Good evening, people. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're doing very well. How are you doing? Good afternoon from my end. If it is morning, good morning at your end. If it is, I don't know, whatever the time zone is at your location, I want to welcome you to today's live session, and I'm super excited to have you here. I'm super excited to have you join us. We are live on YouTube. We are live. We are live. We're live. We are live. We are live. So I'm going to send a message to those in the community. We are live. We're live, guys. We are live. Today, I'm going to be teaching two topics. The first topic is I am going to be talking about. So, before we jump into it, I'm going to first of all have to reintroduce myself. It's a new month, and guys, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really excited to be here today. It's a new month, it's a fresh month, and I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to thank God for sustaining us thus far. God has been wonderful. God has been great. God has been so good. Guys, I'm super happy because, I mean, somehow I would say that I'm grateful to God because one, I recovered everything that I lost. I recovered everything that I lost. Everything that I lost, I recovered. Everything that I lost, I recovered. I mean, I told you that a few weeks ago that I lost my laptop, I lost my credit card, my debit card. I lost practically everything. But today I have everything. I have everything back. Like everything was recovered, guys. Everything was recovered. I'm super excited to be here because I am the happiest person on earth, and I'm grateful to God for making the recovery possible. How did it happen? I just got a call from, from someone, from a police officer who said, hey, that she was calling in to let me know that based on so that was said, that based on the feedback that they got from a different unit, that those items that were stolen were returned and that we could come, claim those items. And I was like, okay, no problem. No problem. It felt really funny, a little awkward, but somehow, I mean, I went there and it was good. I went there and it was a good, it was it was unbelievable, really. It was unbelievable, but somehow I was happy because one, the laptop, the credit card, the debit card, my bag that contained my clothes, my handbag, everything was returned. Everything was returned back to me. And that was really exciting because imagine if I didn't have everything returned to me. Well, I'd started living my life normally. Like 3 weeks down the line, I was already good. But somehow, that those things were returned just goes to show that God is faithful. Even though if those things were not returned, God is still faithful. So I'm not here to even bore you about the details of how I recovered my stolen items. If you want to watch that video, I posted it already. You see me saying, "Wow, I recovered everything that I lost." If you always come to my YouTube channel, you realize that you will see that that video content is there, and it was such an exciting moment. In fact, I still got $50 after I recovered everything. I got $50 cash gifts on a live. I mean, it's such an amazing experience, and I want you to go there and watch it. I want you to go to my YouTube. I want you to find that video on this channel and enjoy that video and glorify God with me. Exalt the name of Jesus. Yay! Kemi watched it. Kemi said she watched it. What did you think? Like, what was going through your mind when you saw the video, Kemi? Tell me about it. What was going through your mind? I want to know when you saw that video, what went through your mind? What went through your mind, Kemi? Tell me about it. I want to know what went through your mind. Hey, Mr. Success in the building. What's up, people? Okay, Mr. Success, which of the two topics do you want us to handle first? We're live, and I'm teaching two topics. The first one is how do you avoid a visa denial? The second topic is how do you make $1,000 to $10,000 on a monthly basis? It's going to be a rich conversation. I'm going to dedicate 20 minutes each to talk about each of the two topics, and then we'll have Q&A for session 1, and then we'll have Q&A for session 2. And so let's get into it. How do you avoid a visa denial? Awesome. Awesome. So, just so you know, I have been a victim of a visa denial before. I was denied visa. Yeah, I've been denied visa before actually. And here I am. To the glory of God, I want to teach you about how you can avoid a visa denial. How can you avoid a visa denial? How can you avoid a visa denial? So, guys, I'm going to go straight into that conversation right now. I'm going to go into that conversation right now. So let's do this. Let's do this. Now, let me start by talking about at what stage do you actually apply for a visa? At what stage do you apply for a visa? At what stage? I want someone to say that in the chat. At what stage does somebody apply for a visa? I want someone to type it. At what stage do you apply for a visa? You apply for a visa after you have been what? I want someone to type the question, at what stage do you apply for a visa, so that I can respond. At what stage do we apply for a visa? At what stage do we apply for a visa? I want someone to type that question. Exactly. Thank you so much, Kemi, for that honest feedback. You're so right. The excitement was real, and it should just show that there's so much power, when you're speaking into existence what you want to make manifest. And I can tell you, you can say that over and over and over again. It's such an exciting feeling, you know. Awesome. At what stage do you apply for a visa? That's the question. You apply for a visa after you have been hold on. Oh, at what stage you? I'm getting many responses. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I'm gonna go into that. You apply for a visa after you have been given an admission, and then you have a funding letter. I want someone to say that in the comment section. You apply for a visa after you have been given an admission, and then you have a proof of funding. I want 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people to type that. You apply for a visa after you have been given an admission, and then you have a proof of funding. You have applied for a visa after you've been given an admission, and then you have a proof of funding. You apply for a visa after you've been given an admission, and then you have a proof of funding. At what stage do you apply for a visa? You apply for a visa 1 after you've been given an admission. 2, when you also have admission with proof of funding. Number 1, you must be admitted. Number 2, you must have a proof of funding. I want 2 different people to type that. After you've been given an admission, and then you have proof of funding. Yes. So after you've been given an admission, and then you have proof of funding. After you've been given an admission, and then you have proof of funding. I'm going to go into this conversation in detail. At what stage do you apply? At what stage do you? I want to see those responses. At what stage do you apply for a visa? At what stage do you apply for a visa? At what stage do you apply for a visa? At what stage do you apply for a visa? After you've been given an admission and then you apply for proof of funding. After you've been given admission and then you have a proof of funding. Now, admission without funding does will not lead to applying for a visa. A visa is issued when there is certainty, when it is sure that you have proof of funding. A visa is only issued to someone who has money to go to that country or to that location or to that destination. Does that make sense? A visa is only issued to somebody who has funding. You no get money, hide your face. If you don't have funding, they are not going to issue you a visa. A visa is only issued to someone who has funding. You are not going to be issued a visa if you don't have funding. How much is the money? What do you mean by how much is the money? I'm going to take that question later. I don't understand. Mr. Azebe Emmanuel, make it really clear. But I'm going to answer that question, but I would keep talking and then I'll answer that question. A visa is only issued when you have proof of funding, and that funding means you have money to go to that country or to that destination that you want to travel to. A visa is only issued to somebody who has proof of funding, and you will not get that visa issued when you do not have proof of funding and when it is not clear that you have money. And so, how do you show that you have money? How do you show that you have money? How do you show that you have money? You will show that you have money when you have a statement that shows that you have money. You need a statement that shows that you have money. A statement of accounts, I want you to write that. A statement of accounts can serve as proof of funding. An offer letter from the university can serve as proof of funding. I want you to repeat that. A statement of accounts, an offer letter that shows that you have proof of funding. Okay? A statement, an offer letter, a statement of accounts, or an offer letter that you have proof of funding. A statement of accounts and or an offer letter that you have proof of funding. I want to know those who are following. 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 A statement of accounts, okay, and or a proof of or an offer letter. A statement of account and or an offer letter. So let me tell you, for the scholars that I support, I tell them to apply for fully funded programs. When you apply for a fully funded program, you just need that proof of funding that the university is providing you when you go for your visa interview. You don't need a different statement of accounts. You don't need anything called statement of account. You just need an offer letter. And this is this is something that someone who is let me make this clear. I'm going to repeat that. We are I want this to be really specific. I want this to be really specific. I want this to be really specific. At what point do you apply for a visa? When you have been given admission with funding. Like I was saying, at what point do you apply for a visa? So the question is, at what point do you apply for a visa? At what point do you apply for a visa? You apply for a visa, one, when you have been given admission and you have proof of funding. The admission offer does not guarantee that you will be able to apply for a visa. What guarantees that you can legally or legitimately apply for a visa is proof of funding. Now, how do you get a proof of funding? A proof of funding can be a statement of accounts or or an offer letter. I say and if of course you don't get fully funded, you would have to provide the funding that is available from the school that you're going to, and then a statement of account that completes or helps you to balance that funding, or that kind of matches, no, that serves as the balance of the funding that you have received from the program. Now, because I tell scholars like you to look for fully funded positions, guess what? You don't need a statement of accounts. I want someone to write that in the chat. You don't need a statement of accounts. If you're watching me live on Facebook, you should come and continue with us and join the full session on my YouTube channel. This is just a tip. Come join us on the YouTube channel so we'll continue the conversation on YouTube. Thank you. I want you to join the conversation on YouTube. At what point do you apply for a visa? You apply for a visa when you've been given an admission offer with funding. And what do you need to show that you have funding? You need a statement of account and or an offer letter. You need that statement of account if you don't get fully funded, if you receive partial funding. But if you receive a fully funded offer, you don't need a statement of account. Scholars like you and I should be aiming for fully funded scholarships. So when we're looking for fully funded scholarships, we personally do not need a statement of accounts. All right. You only need a statement of account if you have dependents that your funding will not cover. If you have dependents that your funding won't cover, then you need a statement of accounts. Does that make sense? If you have dependents that your funding won't cover, you need a statement of account to show that you are able to support them, that they can come with you, that you have the resources to keep them with you. And so there's a question here, the statement of account, can it come from a friend, family, or guardian? I'm going to be answering that on the YouTube channel. So if you're watching on Facebook, come join us. We're still live on YouTube. Come join us, come join us, come join us. I'll see you on YouTube. I'll see those on the Facebook page. I just told them to join us on YouTube. So let's continue the conversation. The statement of account can now, no, don't do this. Don't get a statement of account from a friend. The only person who should get you or make a statement of account available to you is someone who has your last name, especially your mother or your father or your wife or your husband. When you are trying to get a statement, if at all it becomes necessary that you get a statement, okay? If you are trying to get a statement of accounts, don't get a statement from someone who does not have your last name. I want someone to answer, say what I want someone to repeat what I just said. Don't get a statement of account from someone that is not related to you or someone that doesn't have your last name. Don't even go for a relative. Relative, like there are categories when it comes to, who is a relative. There are categories. Categories, I say that because someone might be your relative, someone might have your last name, and the person might not be able or be in the position to provide you with a statement of account that is tenderable, that is worth tendering, that is worth presenting, that is worth considering. So don't make that mistake. I'm going to share I'm going to talk about some mistakes that people make, and I'm going to talk about how you can avoid those mistakes. Mistake number 1, avoid a partially funded program as much as possible. Apply for fully funded positions, because when you get fully funded, you would only need to provide that proof of funding to the university, to the embassy when you're applying for a visa. You will not need a statement of accounts. But if you do not get a fully funded program, then a statement of accounts, might make sense. But now, if you then get a fully funded position, you would need a statement of accounts if you have dependents, children or spouse or family, children or spouse that are coming, but that your funding will not cover them. So you will need a statement of account for them. That statement of account should show that you have enough resources to cover these people. But if you are the only one going to school, so maybe you're a single person or you're just engaged or you're married and then you're traveling alone, well, for whatever reason, if you're traveling alone, you don't need statement of accounts. You don't need an additional proof of funding. If the school has given you a fully funded position, you just need to provide that offer letter. And if you must get a statement of accounts, don't get a statement of account from someone without your last name. We're still live on YouTube. If you're watching me live on my Facebook page, come join us on YouTube so you can be a part of the full session. You can be a part of the full session. Most importantly, I want you to understand that when it comes to applying to schools abroad, getting a fully funded position offers you funding. A fully funded position means that you're going to get fully funded. It means that you're going to get funding. And when you have funding, you can apply for a visa. You are not eligible to apply for a visa if you do not have funding. So here are the common mistakes you must avoid when going for a visa interview in an African in an African's country, and or an African country where of course you find a consul, an embassy belonging to the country that you're going. If you must apply for a visa, there are two ways or among the many methods. One of the ways to apply for a visa, I want someone to say what one of the ways to apply for a visa is, then I'll respond. I want someone to say one of the ways to apply for a visa is, then I'll respond. So I want to know those who are following. 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 I want to know those who are following this session. I really want to know those who are following. I want to know those who are following. Who is following? Who is following? Who is following? Who is following? Oh, we are still here. Who is following? I want to know those who are following. I want to know those who are following. So I'm going to talk about the common mistakes that people make. Exactly. One of the ways to apply for a visa, I'm still talking about how to avoid visa denial. One of the ways to apply for a visa is to apply online. Applying online would mean that you don't need to go in person. Okay? Applying online would mean that you don't need to go in person. Applying online would mean that you don't need to go for a visa interview in person. Now, when you're applying for a visa online, the meaning is you don't need to go for the visa interview in person. When you have a situation where you're able to apply for a visa online, you don't need to go in person. But if you're not able to apply for a visa online, then you would have to go in person. Meaning, let me put it this way. So the process of applying for a visa anywhere in the world, as far as I know, begins online. It begins online. I want someone to say that it begins online. Now, the process might begin online and end online. End online as in you're interviewed via Zoom or Skype or Google Meet. And it can continue in person, which means that you have to go to a visa you have to go to a visa office and also meet physically, to be interviewed physically by a consular officer. This in-person kind of visa interview is common it is what the US government, like this is something that is common with the US government. Like if you want to apply for a US visa, just begin to prepare to go for a visa interview in person, even though the process of getting a visa would begin online. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So the process for applying for a visa involves that you need an admission and then you need funding. Admission does not mean that you are eligible to apply for a visa. Funding, having proof of fund, is what makes you eligible to apply for a visa. I've said that before. Now, when you must apply for a visa, you Your proof of funding can be a combination of a statement of account or a statement of account alone, or a statement of account and your offer letter, or your offer letter alone. If you get a fully funded, you don't need a statement of accounts. You only need a statement of account after you've gotten fully funded, if and only if you have dependents who are coming with you and your funding will not cover them. But if you're going to travel alone, whether as a wife or a fiance to somebody or a daughter to somebody, if you're traveling alone and you've been fully funded, you don't need any other proof of funding except your offer letter. But if you're going with your dependents, you will need an extra proof of funding, which can be a statement of accounts. Now, if you then get a partially funded and you're bent on traveling, you would need that offer that you've gotten from school, if it is partial, plus a statement of accounts that shows that you have the balance that completes your funding. That is if it is partially funded. But why look for a partially funded when you can get a fully funded position? Now, when you have funding, what are the steps to actually apply for a visa? You need you need to apply for a visa online. The process begins online and it can end online. It begins and end online if you apply for the visa online and then you are interviewed online. It begins online if you apply for a visa online and may continue offline or in person if you have to go to a physical location or to an embassy to meet with a consular officer to be interviewed physically, just like the US visa. And so, what are the steps to actually getting a visa? The first thing is you must get certain document from the university that you have been admitted. The university will not issue you these documents if you do not, number one, show proof of funding and provide them your passports. You need to provide the university with, number one, your proof of funding and then your passports. When you provide these most important documents, the university would release certain documents to you. These documents are your migration documents. Number one, provide the university with your offer letter, that is your proof of funding. Number two, you get migration documents. So I want someone to volunteer to write these steps. The steps to getting a visa issued: first, provide your offer letter or proof of funding to university. In exchange, number two, the university releases your migration documents. Number three, you use your migration document to fill the form. In the case of the US, the DS-160, you have to fill the DS-160 if it is the US visa. Now, when you fill the migration form or the DS-160 form, the visa form or the DS-160 form, in the case of the US, you would be asked to upload other files online. When you upload other files, you will be able to schedule a date. When you pick a date, this date is what serves at your in-person interview. Now, if you don't need to pick a date for an in-person interview, like the case of the US, you would have to wait to get documents, right? You have to wait. You have to wait for the portal to show that there is a message, or to respond to you that there is a message that you have been scheduled for an online interview. So when you're scheduled for an online interview, you don't have to go in person. But when it comes to the US visa that requires that you go in person, as at now, you would get an email from the US embassy that you have been scheduled for a visa interview. So when you get this email, you have to go for your visa interview, either online or in person. I want someone to volunteer to write the steps that I've highlighted thus far. So if you're watching me live on another platform, aside from the YouTube channel, I want you to volunteer to write down the steps. Step number one, you need an admission letter with a funding letter. In exchange, the university will then provide you with your migration document. Step number three, you have to go online to fill the forms and and upload your migration documents alongside some other documents online so that you can be scheduled for an in-person step number 3, so that you can be scheduled for an in-person interview or an online interview. Step number 5, how do you go about the visa interview proper? So if you're watching elsewhere aside from the YouTube channel, guys, you want to come and join us live on YouTube. I'm going to end this live video so that you can come join us live on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is www.youtube.com/Bisola-Mariam. www.youtube.com/Bisola-Mariam or www.youtube.com/C/Bisola-Mariam. So for you watching on my Instagram live, you just type this in the chat and follow that link. It takes you to my YouTube channel. Just come to join us. We're still live on YouTube and we'll continue the conversation on YouTube. So when you're going for the visa interview, how do you comport yourself? Oh yeah, come and join us there on YouTube. Or we're live on YouTube. See you there. So when you're going for your visa interview, how do you prepare yourself for the physical or the virtual visa interview? Let me start with the physical visa interview. When you're going for the physical interview, make sure you have all your documents with you. You can add that as step number 4, right? Step number 1, it begins on step number 1, admission letter with funding. Step number 2, who is following? Step number 2 is missing. David Adeleke didn't write step number 2. Oh, I want someone to write step number 2. Step number 2 is that you will need to provide, the university will release your migration documents. And then number 3, you book your visa or commence your visa process online. That's step number 3. Step number 3 of 3B would be that you are scheduled for a visa interview, either online or in person. And this scheduling would also take place online. And then number 4, you have to go for your visa interview online or in person. When you go for your visa interview online, the meaning is that, yes, so Gordon is here all the way from IG. I'm so glad. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Godwin is here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. So if you're scheduled for your visa interview, whether it is online or in person, this is what you need to do. This is the way to go about your visa interview. Number 1, let's talk about the in-person visa interview in Nigeria or anywhere. If you're going for an in-person visa interview, you need to be very careful. You need to be very careful. Scammers are real. When I say very careful, I mean very careful. There are scammers and you can be scammed, really. You can be scammed. When I say you can be scammed, it means that it is possible that some people just come to make you feel like you need to pay for what you shouldn't pay for. And so when you're going for your visa interview, go with all your documents so that nobody, I repeat, absolutely no one scams you. Okay, when you're going for your in-person visa interview, make sure you have all your documents with you so that absolutely no one scams you. Make sure you have all your documents so that you are not scammed. What are these documents? You need to go with your passports. I want someone to type those documents. Go with your passports. Okay? Go with your passports. Go with your so go with your passports. Number 2, go with your go with your migration document, the one that was released by the university. So in this case, that migration document can be your I-20. The I-20 is a document that the university releases after you've sent them proof of funding. So in this case, you will need your I-20 if it is the US, right? So you need your passport, you need your I-20, okay? You need your passport, you need your physical copy of your I-20. So this I-20 will be mailed to you by the university. in person. They will send it, they will mail it, not email. Now, it is because of the pandemic that a lot of university are emailing I-20s. But post the COVID, post the pandemic, they would switch back to mailing. Mailing means they are sending you to a physical address. Mr. Matthews, what do you mean by CAS? That might be what you're talking about. You're referring to the Canadian process. You're referring to the Canadian process. So I'm going to take questions. I'm almost done. So you go with your passport, your migration document. Thirdly, you go with your offer letter or proof of funding document or your statement of accounts. If of course you have dependent, which of course I already explained. I already explained at what situation do you need to go with your other documents. Okay, I already explained to you in what situation you need to go with your statement of account. But if you've been given a fully funded, you just need your one passports, migration document such as the I-20 and your service receipts from the university. The service receipt does not come from the university, but you will get a service receipt. So the service payment is facilitated through a link that you get from the university you apply to, or that has admitted you and has confirmed your status and wants you to come. So that service receipt has to be provided. And then you also need to, this your I-20 will contain your service number and some other information. Okay. So the next thing is when you have your passport, your migration documents, your funding documents, you need to also provide other related document, any other document that would make the process stress-free and seamless. For instance, maybe you have children, you can bring pictures of the kids. If you have a family, you can bring pictures. If you are married and you have a change of status, you can take your marriage certificate as a married woman. Or maybe you want to take a letter that shows that your spouse has permitted you to has permitted you to travel, right? Provide that document that shows that your partner has permitted you to travel. There are some husbands, they are like principalities and power. I'm not talking to the good men here. Some men will stand in the way of their partner's progress and they will not write that letter. May God would the God that would you God will touch the heart of that partner in quotes that will not want to write you a letter of permission to go abroad, and God will touch the heart of the person. That's why you must also be careful when you're choosing a partner. Be careful so that you don't end up having a situation whereby you're going for a visa interview and then your partner is not willing to provide you that letter, because everything is important. The visa interview is a very short interview. It is less than 3 minutes. The only time when it becomes a long talk is when they are drilling you. And that they are drilling you does not mean that they will deny you visa. I want someone to take note of that. That you're drilled or that you're being drilled at your visa interview does not mean that you'll be denied visa. Does that make sense? That you're being drilled does not mean that you will be denied visa. That you're being drilled does not mean that you'll be denied visa. And that you're being drilled does not mean you'll be denied visa. I hope you understand. So if you've gotten value from this today's session, let me know. And what do you say? What are the kind of questions they will ask you? I'm going to talk about that next week. I can't go into everything today. Common visa questions. Common visa questions. Now, let's talk about common mistakes that people make. I'm going to talk about the common visa interview questions next week. Let me quickly run through the common mistakes people make. People don't go with all their documents, or they miss some documents and they get to the visa location and then they begin to make photocopies. If you don't go with all the necessary photocopies, you will be exploited. Exploitation is real at visa interview locations. Exploitation is real. as at visa interview locations. I want someone to repeat that. Exploitation is real at visa interview locations. Exploitation is real at visa interview locations. Exploitation is real, guys. I want someone to write that. It is very real, so be careful. Exploitation is real at, I'm going to type that on my status. Exploitation is real at visa interview locations. Exploitation is real. Um, Exploitation is real, oh, and that you are drilled does not mean you will be denied. That you are drilled at your visa interview does not mean you'll be denied visa. Exploitation is real. Go with all your documents. Avoid those marketers, copyright, those marketers using their copywriting skills to try to get you to say, "Ha, sister, come, sister, can this for you have not done this one. You don't have this." Don't mind them. Don't pay attention to them. Go with all that you need. When you go with everything you need, you will not be a victim. When you go with every required document, you ain't gonna be a victim, right? Take note of all that I've shared today, guys. Have you got value? Let me know if you've got value. Let me know if you've got value. And I'm going to talk about the kind of questions that will be asked at the visa interview. Exploitation is real, and that your drill does not mean you'll be denied visa. That your drill does not mean you'll be. Um, so let me see. Exploitation does not mean that you'll be denied visa. That your drill doesn't mean you will be denied. Exploitation is real at visa interview. Go with all your documents, answer your questions, be as confident as you can be. Understand that, see, you worked so hard to have gotten a fully funded, and if you make any silly mistake, you will be denied visa. I was denied visa even though I had a fully funded. I was denied the visa even though I had a fully funded scholarship. If you make silly mistakes, you'll be denied visa. If you make silly mistakes, you will be denied. You'll be denied visa. If you make silly mistakes, you'll be denied visa. If you make silly mistakes, you'll be denied visa. Okay? That you are drilled. That you are drilled doesn't mean you will be denied. So let's go to the second part of today's conversation, which is the profit in millions part. If you have any question, please let me know. I would like to take questions if you have any questions. I want to know those who have questions. Thank you so much, Odeshola Kemi, for joining. Everything you're learning will be useful by the time you need it. And the good thing about knowledge is never wasted. You store it somewhere. And when it is stored somewhere, you're good. I say, because when you need to bring that knowledge and begin to apply it, boom, you're good to go. You're good to go. You will not, like, you already have it. You don't have to struggle to bring it out. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to struggle. Guys, you don't need to struggle. You don't need to struggle. So, you don't need to struggle. I want to take questions. I want to take questions. I want to take questions before I go to the second part of today's session. I want to take questions. Questions. I've spent so much time on this visa session. So this second part of the webinar would be on how exactly can you the second part of the session would focus mainly on how exactly you can make $1,000 to $10,000 in 30 days or every 30 months. I'm going to talk about that real quick. I'm going to talk about that real quick. But before we go on, I want to talk about my book. I'm writing a book. So the proof of funding has to be in your account or in the account of your parent, that is your father or your mother. Use your father or mother, but Kemi, you don't even need to provide proof of funding once you get a fully funded. But if you must provide proof of fund, it has to be in your own account or the account of your father or your mother. In fact, as an undergraduate, let it not be in your account. Let it be in your sponsor's account. And your sponsor should be your father or your mother. Sounds good? Let me know if this makes sense. I want to know those who are saying this clarity call is loaded. Yes, so this clarity call is loaded. I want to know those who have been following and saying that the session is loaded. I want to know those who are following. I want to know those who are following. Who is following? Who is following? Who is following? Who is following? So now, can I estimate? Estimation. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much. Finding expressions with Tobiloba, my greatest, my colleague way in this visa, in this YouTube business. So let me see, and an estimate of how much the fund should be. The university that you're going to would estimate how much you need to provide. If, of course, when they need you to provide proof of funding, the university usually estimates. So it is that estimation you would work with. So, for instance, after you if you have been admitted to a particular school, a particular program, you've been given partial funding, usually you get an estimate of what is left so that you can go to that school. And if you've been given an admission with full funding, you don't need an estimate. Maybe after next week's session, maybe the third session in this month, I'm going to be talking about how much is a fully funded scholarship really worth. I'm going to do a session on that. How much is a fully funded scholarship really worth? I'm going to talk about that. So what else? What else? What else? Yeah, let's talk about the strategies for making $1,000 to $10,000 in every month. So I'm going to teach that in the next few minutes. I know that we've already. How exactly do you make $1,000 to how exactly do you make $1,000 to $10,000 every month? So I'm going to make this real quick. I'll make this real quick by focusing on the fact that it is possible to make $1,000 every month. I want you to first of all say that it is possible. I want someone to say in the comment section, it is possible. I want responses. I want you to say, it is possible. I want you to say, it is possible. It is possible. It is possible. Let me know those who are following. It is possible to what? To make $1,000 or $10,000 on a monthly basis. So it is possible, it is possible, it is possible, it is possible that you can make $1,000 to $10,000. But the first thing you need to understand is nobody gives you money without you doing something. There must be money is basically given to someone who can give value. Money is basically given to someone who can give value. Money is exchange of value. I'm going to talk more about that. Money is exchange of value. When I say money is exchange of value, you must create something. You must provide a service. You must make something available before people can pay you money. You must pay money. You must make something available before people can pay you money. You must make something available before people can pay you money. Make something available before people can pay you money. People will not give you money because they like you. People will only give you money because you are a person of value. People give money to someone who provides service or services or who gives value. Money is simply given as a means of exchange. Hmm? Money is just a means of exchange. Money is what? A means of exchange. I'm going to talk more about that. Money is basically a means of exchange. Let me go on and continue this conversation. To make $1,000 or more, the first question would be, what do you sell to make $1,000 or $10,000? What exactly do you sell? I am a digital entrepreneur and I'm going to be speaking based on what I have done and that has worked for me. As a digital entrepreneur, I create courses, I write books, ebooks or hard copy books, and I will tell you if this is going to be your first time creating a course or creating a book. Don't print yet. Make all the money you can make from your e-copy book and then and then you can print later. I know there's this joy that comes with having a book in print, yes, but rake in the millions first before you begin to think about printing your book. Rake in all the money first before you begin to think about what? Printing your book. Hold on. I'm trying to make a post on Facebook. So I'm going to talk about how you can make um, $1,000 or $10,000 monthly. I'm still talking about that, and we're still live. I'm just making a post on my timeline so that those who are on Facebook can join the conversation. So the first thing you need to understand that it is possible. The first thing you need to understand that it is possible to make any amount. It is because you're not used to hearing that figure. That is why you feel that it is not possible to make $1,000 or $10,000 or more. If it becomes common, like if it is a figure you're used to, okay, naira is common to you because you use naira. CDs is common to somebody else because the person uses CDs. Rands is common to another person because the person spends rands. Any figure you spend becomes common to you, like it is used, it is your normal, you normalize it because you're used to hearing it. So if you are used to hearing dollars, $10,000, $5,000, it becomes normal for you to what? Talk about it. And it is normal and it becomes easier for you to visualize or see yourself making that much. To be able to make $1,000 monthly or $10,000 monthly, this is what I will tell you. Money is basically an exchange of value. If you cannot provide a service, if you cannot solve a problem, nobody will pay you money. Even if they are your friends, they might only give you money. Maybe it's because it's your birthday, maybe you're organizing a fundraiser, or maybe they're just giving you as a gift. But for you to have money consistently, you must provide service consistently. You must provide service consistently or give value consistently. As a digital entrepreneur that I am, I'm a study abroad sales coach and profit in millions coach. And based on the work that I do, and I also work with people who are victims of social stigma who need healing. I have a healing academy where I coach people who are struggling with abusive experiences and who just want to get over those experiences and get clarity to live their best lives. So I have different things that can make me money. And so I understand that it is possible to make $1,000 monthly because it is a system that has worked for me. When did I start my online business? I started last year, 2020. And now I'm making $1,000 and I want to make $10,000 before the end of this month. I'm telling you that, see, it is consistency that changes the game. It is not how long you have been in the business. It is consistency and attracting those who can pay you that figure. And these people who can pay you that figure, they are not necessarily in Canada or in the US. They are in Nigeria. They are everywhere. But consistency and visibility is what positions you to be able to attract those who can pay you that figure. And so, if you must earn that much, I ask you, what do you know? What can you sell? I am an online entrepreneur and I am study abroad coach, like I said before. Primarily, my work is with people who are looking to study abroad. So, if I write an ebook and I price this ebook at $10, right, or $10, that ebook has to sell to 1,000 people in 1 month for me to be able to make how much? To be able to make $10,000. But if I write an ebook at and I price that ebook at $10 and I sell that ebook of $10 to 100 people, I only need 100 people to be able to sell, to be able to make $1,000. But if I need to make $10,000, I need to sell to how many people? 1,000 people. If the ebook is just $10. Now, if I must make $1,000 in 1 month, that is by selling a product or book at $10 to 100 people, the meaning is that is if the goal is $1,000, I must sell an item at $10 to 100 people. To be able to sell an item of $10 to 100 people in 1 month, it means that I have to sell to as much as 3 people per day, or 4 people rather. Because if I do my calculation, estimating that we have 30 days in 1 month, 30 days in 1 month means that on the average, I should sell to 4 people daily. Because if 30 divided by 100 will give you roughly about 3 point something per day, then you should actually sell to 4 people daily. Now, that you must sell to 4 people doesn't mean that you should talk to 4 people alone on a daily basis. No. If you talk to 4 people on a daily basis, you would even make no sale, except there is a magic. And so, for you to be able to make that much or the desired figure, you need to talk to the 100% of four. What is 100% of four? 40. Is either you're talking to 100% of 4 people by making calls to 40 people daily, or you're getting up to 40 people in one room and holding a session with them, or a clarity call, or a WhatsApp session, or a Zoom call. Somehow you need to talk to 40 people, or you're sending an email to 40 people, or you're doing something to 40 people, or you're meeting 40 people in a physical location and talking to them about what you have to offer. The thing is, you need to close those sales, and you can't close those sales without reaching 40 people, which is the 100% of your 10%. That is if you're selling 10 at $10. Now, for that is if you're selling at $10 to be able to make $1,000 per in 1 month. But if you must make um, $10,000, then you have to sell to 1,000 people, and that would mean that you're selling as much as you're selling to as much as 40 people daily. Yes. Now let's now make it simpler for the $10,000 target. For the $10,000 target, I don't know if you're following. For those who are following, I want you to drop comments. I'm going to stop talking on Facebook Live. We're live on YouTube. If you want to get the remaining part of this conversation, come join me live on my YouTube channel. Come live on YouTube. We're waiting for you guys. So I want to know those who have been following. Who has been following me? If you've been following me, join me live on YouTube. Let me know. I want you to repeat all that I've shared so far. I want to know those who are following. I want to know those who are following. I want, if you're following now, do the breakdown. I want you to type in the chat so that I know that everything that I've said makes sense. Type in the chat the strategy that I just shared with you on how you can make $1,000, and the same strategy on how you can make $10,000. I haven't explained in detail the $10,000, how to make $10,000, but guess what? I'm going to talk about that also. Now, I'm also going to share with you what exactly do you need to do to gather enough people so that you can have people to sell to. If you don't have people, how can you sell? And it's not just enough to pack people. You need to keep them. You need to be able to keep people. So let me know those who are following. Let me know those who are following. To the glory of God, this month has to be different for all of us. And for me, it has to be different, guys. We need to make all the money. We need to make all the money. We need to. We need to. The money is there. Abundance is out there. And we all need to close those sales. We all need to close those sales. Yeah. So tell me, I want you to do the calculate mathematical estimate in the charts. For those who have been following, I want those who are really desirous of making that money. I want you to do the mathematical estimate. Next week, I might not be able to talk to you on how you can attract the right people, but next week, I'm going to talk about how you can get the people who would buy products of $10 each from you so that you can make your first $1,000. It's actually easier for you to make the $1,000 if you believe that is what you can comfortably achieve. You just need to sell to 100 people something of $10. $10 is less than 5K. You just need to sell to 100 people in 1 month. If you do your homework very well, you can sell to 100 people. If you create a product at $10, a $10 worth of product, and you sell to 100 people by making sure that you're selling to not more than 4 people daily, by the end of the month, what happens? You would have been able to sell to to 4 people daily. But you can't sell to 4 people if you're talking to 4 people daily. Oh. You would only sell to 4 people if you're talking to 40 to 100% of four, which is 40 people per day. You might not be able to call 40 people, I know, but you can do a coaching call, like a group coaching call. You can do a clarity call. You can do a group coaching call and follow up via DM. You can do a webinar and follow up via DM or via email. You can talk to people via email. You can engage them via email, and you don't need one method to reach out to these 40 people. You can do emails. You can do Zoom call. You can do a WhatsApp video call. You can do voice messaging, text messaging. You can combine all of these to be able to talk to 40 people daily. I am going to be doing that. I am going to be doing some crazy publicity for my brand this month myself. You can do content creation. Some people will engage through stories. Some people will engage you through your YouTube live. Some people will engage you through your Facebook live. Some people will engage you through your Instagram live. Some people will look at your content. Some people would just reach out. Some people would buy easily. So you need to combine these different methods to be able to make $1,000 or $10,000. Now, how do you now make the $10,000? You need to create the same kind of way you have done for the $1,000. You have to do the same for $10,000, which is your what? Creating a product like a book or an online course or a combo program. If you create a combo program, meaning that you're launching a book, you know that you're not launching the book yet, but you have a launch date ahead and you set out a pre-order for a $10 product. Set out pre-order for $10 and then you get 100 people to buy or 1,000 people to buy. When you set a pre-order at $10 for 10,000 people, for 1,000 people, you're going to be making $10,000 by the end of the month. If you set out a pre-order for 1,000 people or for 1,000 people to buy from you, you're going to be if you sell at $10 and you set out a pre-order for a product of $10 and you roll out that pre-order and you get 1,000 people to buy, then you make your $10,000. But if you think this is going to be really stressful, this is the way out. Don't sell $10 products to be able to make $10,000. You can sell $100 worth of products. If you sell something at $100, you would be able to make your $10,000 faster because you only need 100 people to buy. And that means that you're also selling to like 4 people per day. And to sell to 4 people, to be able to make $100, it means you're reaching out to 40 people daily. Aim for the stars so that when you fall, aim for the moon so that when you fall within the stars. Let your targets even be $10,000. Let somebody say you are crazy. So that if you don't hit your $10,000, you would at least hit 5,000 or 2,000 or 1,000. You can't fall short. You can't. You cannot. This is the end of today's session. I'm going to do a recap on my Instagram live. And if you're watching me live on Facebook, watch the full session on my YouTube live. Thank you. And for those of us who are with me on YouTube, What exactly are we talking about? We're still here live on YouTube. Who has questions? I want anyone who has followed me thus far to do a breakdown of what I have shared. Tell me in the comment section, how can you make $10,000? How, based on how I have explained it, how can I make $1,000 based on the explanation I have given? I want to see someone who is following me. Like, I mean, I really want to know. I want to see those who are following me. I'm going to continue the session on my Instagram live. So if you've been following, I want to see those comments. I want to see those feedbacks. Did you get value? Did you get value? I want to see feedbacks. I really want to see engagement. I 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 want to see engagement. And more than the engagement, I also want to see um I also want to see questions. I want to see questions. I want to see feedbacks or comments. I also want someone who has been following thus far to be able to say, this is what you have explained. I want someone to summarize what I've talked about so far. I want someone to summarize what I've talked about. I want someone to summarize what I've talked about. I want someone to summarize. If you've been following me, I want you to summarize what I have talked about. I want someone to summarize how exactly can you make $1,000 or $10,000 on a monthly basis. It is possible to make any figure. Your brain cannot tell the difference when you tell yourself you want to make $100 or $100 or $1,000 or $10,000. Your brain can tell the difference. So when you begin to indoctrinate your brain to believe that you can make any figure, you can make it. And I want you to I want you to know that it is possible. Say that in the comments. Say it is possible to make any figure. It is possible to make any amount. You just need to get into that realm. You need a mental shift to be able to know, to be able to get to that point that you believe that you can make any figure. You can make any amount, you can make any figure. And so once you begin to entertain that thoughts, the next thing you need to ask yourself is, what am I a person of value? Do I have value that the world needs? Do I know something that I can share with the world? And if you can build your visibility and you do it consistently, you would make any figure. I started my online enterprise last year, and I must say that to the glory of God, I am pushing really hard. Have I gotten to where I want to be? No. But one thing you need to understand is people will pay you any money you ask them, as long as you find the right people who are willing to buy what you carry or what you can provide. Once you know those who can, once you are able, hi Sammy, thank you so much for joining on Instagram. My lovely friend Samiksha Minali is live with me on Instagram. And so for those of you watching on YouTube, understand that this money is available. You can make any amount, you can make any figure, you can make it. And so let's talk about the steps. How exactly can you make $1,000 or $10,000? You need to sell something to somebody who needs that something. You need somebody who needs what you can sell or who needs the service that you can render to buy from you. You need someone who needs what you can sell to buy from you. I am a study abroad coach. I work closely with people looking to study abroad. And so I know people, or I try to look for and find those who need what I carry, my knowledge on how to access fully funded scholarship. And so with this knowledge, I'm able to sell to people who need what I know or who need what I carry. What do you know? Maybe you have gone through depression and you have survived. Some people need to be able to go out of depression. And so you can share that knowledge with people. How did you cope? Maybe you went through a cesarean section and you went out, you learned how to actually go through a CS painlessly, or to go through a vaginal delivery, and then you have learned a lot of lessons and you can teach other women on what they need to do. Maybe you are a parent and you have mastered the strategies for raising excellent kids. You can teach that to someone else. Or perhaps you know so much about content creation or writing. You're such an excellent writer. You can as well translate your writing skill or gift into something that can make you money. And so, as an online entrepreneur, I tell people that the easiest way to make money is to create knowledge products. That is, write a book, create a course. When you write a book or create a course, then you need to then market it to the world, sell it, keep selling it because you keep making money from it. You need to then identify those who need to buy from you, those who need that knowledge, those who need that book, that course. Okay, so once you identify them, you need to then decide on the price. How much do you want to sell to people? Do you want to sell $10 worth of product to 100 people so that you can make 1,000 by selling to not less than four people daily, and by reaching out to at as much as 40 people daily and then selling successfully to four, then you'll be able to, at $10 per item, then you'll be able to make $1,000 in 30 days. If you must make $10,000 and selling $10 worth of item, then you need to sell to 1,000 people. That means that you have to sell to as much as 40 people daily. That's a lot. But if you price your 10,000, if you want to make $10,000 and you price your product at $100, like you fix it at $100, all you need to do is to reach or identify 100 people who can pay you $100 each, and then you hit your sales goal. So that way, to make $10,000 means that you will sell something at $100 to each person, and then it means that you're going to be selling to as much as four people on a daily basis. And to sell to four people, that means that you're reaching 100% of the 10%. What is the 100% of the 10%? 100% of four is 40. And so you just need to sell successfully to four people. You will need as many strategies as possible to be able to connect with these people who will buy from you. How do you reach 40 people daily? You need a combined method. You need to be sending DMs, you need to be sending emails, you need to be getting on coaching calls. You also need to be going live. You also need to be doing content creation. These are multiple methods, multiple approaches that will help you make or hit your sales goal. And if you need a coach, you need someone to work with, I'm here for you. I can make your work easier. Maybe you have not even written a book yet. You can get on a one-on-one coaching with me. I have a one-on-one coaching that you can get on, and you can learn how to create your first book and make your first $1,000 or $10,000 from it. Perhaps you don't want to work with me on a one-on-one and you just want to buy a copy of my book. My book is on pre-order, and I have a masterclass that is coming up. Don't even join the masterclass yet. I have a free event that is coming up in 2 days' time. Yeah, July 4th. On the 4th of July, which is America's Independence Day, I will be holding a free event on a private Facebook group. So if you're watching me and you want to be a part of that event, just drop a comment. I'll be right there in the comment section to give you the link to join. Or perhaps just go to Facebook and go on Facebook and search for the Left-Handers African Network for Reduced Inequalities and Social Stigma. Go search for that Facebook group because that is where the free event is holding. And you would learn from me even the steps that you need to, put together in order to roll out a launch plan. So you need a launch plan and you need something to launch. I'm going to teach what you need to launch and that launch plan that you need to successfully sell what you're launching in this Profit in Millions challenge. So if you want to join the Profit in Millions challenge for free, drop a comment and I'll sign you up. I'll get you on board. I'll respond to your comment and then you'll be on board immediately. I'd like to see you at the Profit in Millions challenge. I hope you come. And if you're watching me live on Instagram, come join us for the full session on my YouTube channel. We're still live on YouTube. So, what are the questions? Is there a question? Are there questions? I want to see who has questions, who has questions, who has questions. If you have a question or questions, I want you to let me know what your question or questions are. I want to see what you had. If you have a question, you have questions, I want to see what are the questions. It is possible to make any amount. I want you to understand that it is possible to make any figure. I want you to understand that money is exchange of value. Yes, money is exchange of value. If you've gotten so much value, thank you so much for joining in. It's been an amazing 1 hour, 60-minute conversation. And I don't know if you have questions. If you don't have questions, no worries at all. Next week, I will be talking about how exactly should you present yourself for a visa interview. Like, what should you how do you handle yourself? How do you handle a visa interview? What should you say? How should you say it? I'm going to be talking about how you should handle a visa interview next week. I'm also going to be talking about how you should, most importantly, I'm going to talk about how you should how to launch and what you should launch so that you can profit in millions. How you should launch and what you should launch so that you can make your first $1,000 or your $10,000 every month. I'll see you next week Friday, 3 p.m. CST. That is 9 p.m. WAT. And depending on your time zone, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you want to get any of my product or any of my services, I want you to go to my seller page. Go to seller.co/m/Bisola Obenya to see just to see my product and services. If you want to get my offers, go to seller.co to get my product and services. If you want to get any of my product and services, go to seller.co and I will see you next week. Thank you everyone for joining in. God bless you. And make sure you follow me on social media. Make sure you follow me on social media on Instagram at Bisola underscore SDG10, on Twitter as at Bisola underscore SDG10, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms, Bisola-Mariam. Go search for me and Bisola-Mariam on other social media platforms. To the glory of God, will be here next week. And most importantly, stay safe, stay healthy. Believe that all your dreams are possible and every of your dream is valid. Understand that abundance is here. Don't give up. And if you want to be an affiliate, if you want to join my affiliate team, you can send me a message. The best way to reach me is to do me a chat on WhatsApp. I'm gonna share my number right now. Just chat on WhatsApp. Just chat me on WhatsApp 2348024957386. You can reach me on WhatsApp, okay? And chat me on WhatsApp and I will be waiting to have you on board. Or you can chat me on WhatsApp. If you want to be an affiliate, if you're an affiliate, you don't need to pay for any of my product or services. You just need to be an affiliate. You make 50% off every of my product and you also what get access to my inner circle coaching for free without paying any money. And you also get paid for referring people to buy my products. How awesome! That's really amazing. So if you want to be an affiliate, reach out to me on that number. If you want to, maybe you still have doubt and you're still uncertain about what I've shared, make sure you connect with me via that phone number so that you can talk to me. And from that, you can also get access to all of my product and or any of my service or services. And of course, I will be launching my website powerfully by the end of the month, www.bisola.mariam.com or bisolobia.com. I'm yet to decide whatever it is, definitely my website will be launched and you would have access to my website by the end of this month. And I'll see you right soon. Talk soon, guys, and make sure you stay safe and take care. Bye.